Reds in Australia Cup history. Ben Gibson and new signing Alex Battalato, the goal scorers on that occasion. And for Cooks Hill, we can see there Josh Benson. He was the 2-goal hero in South Australia. They had a wretched start to that game, a comical own goal inside the opening 5 minutes, but they turned it all around to record a 3-2 victory, and there are no changes to Chris Zoricic's team from that 3-2 win in Adelaide. It includes stalwarts Dan Clements and Daniel Yaxley, who have been at the club since 2017 when they entered the second division. Keep an eye out for Xavier Williams, the super sub off the bench, who travels to training from the Central Coast via train. He is very committed, and what a 21-minute cameo he produced in the round of 32, a goal and an assist. And for the Newcastle Jets, a couple of changes from that round of 32 success over Adelaide. So Costa Grozos comes back in, the captain in midfield, with Lockie Bayliss dropping to the bench, and a forced change. The captain on that night, Tom Aquilina, suffered a knee injury. It's only expected to keep him out for another few weeks. So Christian Bracco, the local, the Lambton Jaffers Jr. comes in. There's a couple of other Novocastrians in this Jets side. Warners Bay Panthers Jr. Max Cooper at centre back, and New Lambton Eagles Jr. Xavier Bertoncello both started in the win over Adelaide. So there is Chris Zoricic, 58-time All Whites international. He scored in the 1999 Confederations Cup against the USA. He was coaching in his homeland with Western Springs before making the move over here, following his son's career. Played with the Mariners a couple of years ago. And he got the job at Cooks Hill United. It could well be his last match in charge tonight. And for Mark Milligan, it's his second competitive match in charge at the Newcastle Jets. Ambitions high in the Australia Cup for him. And assistant Nick Stavroulakis there alongside. So for the second time in Australia Cup final rounds, it's a Newcastle derby. It was Edgeworth against the Jets in 2019. Now it's Cooks Hill who get their chance to take on the local A-League side 6 years later. And joining me is a man who played in that match in 2019 and scored one of the great goals in Australia Cup history, Daniel McBreen. And there's my first and final reference of that game tonight, Macca.
Thanks, Benny. Always with a wonderful introduction, but a huge occasion, local derby. Cooks Hill, massive outsiders. Plenty of academy youth players scattered among their lineup, who will be wanting to show tonight what the Jets have missed out on. Maybe didn't quite make the top grade, but they're doing wonderful well for their team at the moment.
Don't you just love Newcastle, Macca? Didn't you coach about 5 or 6 of them in the academy side?
Over the years, yeah, 5 or 6 of this starting lineup have been through there, the Jets Academy.
One of them on the ball now in Mitch Dobson. You played with at Edgeworth as well.
It's a very tight-knit community in Newcastle.
Yeah, so there's 2 members of this Cooks Hill side that have taken on A-League opposition before. One of those is their goalkeeper, Dan Eisenhower, and midfielder Liam Spurway, who was playing for Edgeworth in 2019 against the Jets. Eisenhower played 5 minutes off the bench against Newcastle, against Macarthur for Newcastle Olympic in 2021, and that was because he was their goalkeeper for the entirety of that season, but they signed Adam Pearce in the shadows of that cup clash, and he missed out on the chance to play in the cup. He was just given 5 minutes off the bench at the end. Here's Liam Spurway finding Yaxley, and poked over the top in front of Benson. And this will be a free kick for Cooks Hill United. And it was Christian Bracco just lost his footing at a key moment, and Benson, has he caught one in the face here?
I think he has.
Are you thinking there should have been a card?
Well, I'm thinking there could have been a yellow card there. Josh Benson knocks that ball over the head. It's a wonderful ball in behind, and he's got pace, Josh Benson. You see he gets there first and dinks it over, and look at the extra Cooks Hill player out on the left. And if Josh Benson gets around that challenge, that's a really dangerous moment. Maybe very lucky that there wasn't a yellow card dished out there. early in the game.
So it's Liam Wilson, who is standing over the set piece, former Mariners Academy product. And he's dinking towards the back post, the header just not quite on line, but not a bad start to this game from the Cookers. As we mentioned in the pre-game, it cannot be understated that you look at all the clubs from the NPL Northern New South Wales that have made it through to the round of 32. If you looked on paper, this Cooks Hill side would be one of the least experienced, one of the weakest, you would say, on paper. It is quite a remarkable story that they're here in the last 16. But they have just worked out how to do it against classy opponents. They beat Broadmeadow Magic 2-1 in the final qualifying round in Northern, 3-2 over Adelaide Croatia Raiders in South Australia. Came back from 1-0 down to win that one 3-2.
Well, I think you have to give a lot of credit to Chris Zoricic as a coach.
Bertoncello darting down the left. Xavier Bertoncello. That is a great save from Dan Eisenhower. Sharp down to his right.
Well, Xavier Bertoncello, young academy product coming through, now getting some first team minutes. He was dangerous against Adelaide in their last outing. And that was devilish good shot at the near post and an equally good save.
Well, he'll be licking his lips. Double figures in the Football New South Wales League One this season with the Jets Academy side. As it's flicked on, big chance again. It was Gibson on the stretch, but the flag comes up for offside.
Well, let's just get back to Chris Zoricic. You were waxing lyrical about how well this team has been doing. Well, Chris Zoricic took over this team when their last coach had just walked out. Pretty much their better players walked out as well, and he was almost left with a reserve grade team, and everyone had them tipped to finish last. Well, they didn't finish last, and they were in contention for finals football right up towards the end of the season, and he's continued that again. He's done a wonderful job, very small budget. He's taken inexperienced players and got them playing some good football. It's a credit to him.
Dobson sliding in there on Mizunuma and wins the goal kick. So Mitch Dobson was part of that Edgeworth squad back in 2019 against the Jets. Didn't play in that one. Was a real key part of Damien Zane's backline at Edgeworth for a number of years.
He ducked off to America as well, into the college system over there.
As did the man taking the goal kick here. University of District of Columbia, Dan Eisenhower, spent a season there. He's going to get a big test of his credentials tonight. Mizunuma floating it in towards Badalato. Up gets Burgess. It's in a dangerous spot here for Cooks Hill. Dobson able to knock it away though to safety momentarily. Wilmering. And Bertoncello. So Cooks Hill finishing 9th in the NPL Northern New South Wales this season. The Jets 9th in the A-League last season. So Cooks Hill not too far away from the finals placings, but they've done most of their damage in the cup. They won the State Cup for the first time, beat Western on penalties in a match that doubled as a league match. Won't go too much into that. That was caused due to the wet weather. That was the reason for that decision, whether you agree with it or not. As Shushnia down towards the corner. And it has crossed the line.
Well, you could just see there, as Shushnia was travelling with that ball, the pitch. The ball was bobbling all over the place. We mentioned it in the pre-game, but it really isn't the standard that the players require to play good football, and credit to them so far. They've done a very good job.
Oh, here's a nice little slide ball in behind from Jai Bailey. And Josh Benson has scored a double in the round of 32 with a delightful ball across. Newcastle able to handle it, but this is where Cooks Hill are going to come under pressure. When they push numbers forward, the Jets on the counter-attack. They will be dangerous. Mizunuma. Well, he's given away the free kick. Caught to Mizunuma. Also worth noting tonight, Macca, so the ground record here at number 2 Sports Ground, 3,842 fans. And that was for A-League women's clash between Newcastle and Sydney FC, December 2023. So it's a big crowd in here tonight. 2019 Jets and Edgeworth, it was about 4,200. That got a little bit nervy for the Jets again. Yaxley now herring after Wilmering. Yaxley, one of those players, along with Dan Clements. Clements, the captain, who played with Adamstown for a number of years and then made the move to Cooks Hill 2017. And they just wanted to help them get promoted, and then they were going to ride off into the sunset. Well, if this is the sunset, it's certainly an Indian summer for Yaxley and Clements. And it's wonderful to see, Macca.
Without doubt. As you say, been around for a long time,
well,
toiled hard.
The thing that I just love to think back to is when I started calling the NPL New South Wales, Northern New South Wales in 2015, Yaxley and Clements were both at Adamstown Rosebud, and they're still here. There's not many players that are still playing from those days.
The old war horses. And they're still doing well. Looking to upset one of the big guns.
Rosas, think over the top, but Clements with the intervention, and then Dobson nodding it up towards Benson. Little boot in from Spurway. Bobbles its way over to Wilmering. He's got Bertoncello outside him, Battalato on the inside. Well covered off by Bailey and Yaxley. Just handed over by Newcastle. Josh Benson, he scored 5 goals for Cooks Hill in the NPL Northern New South Wales this season. Here is Ben Gibson, scorer of the goal, the opening goal against Adelaide. Cuts it back to Burgess. Space and time for Burgess. Desperation, though, from Hilton and the Cooks Hill backline.
It was luck. And it wasn't bad luck, it was good luck. Desperation. Hilton and luck.
I don't think you're going to beat that tonight, Macca.
Well, Max Burgess, his eyes lit up, didn't it? He brought it back onto his left, his favoured. And then all of a sudden, 2 Cooks Hill defenders were there in his grill.
So Wilmering, left foot delivery, curled in at the near post. Powerful header away by Yaxley. Now Battalato, look at the pressure from Cooks Hill. In the end, he was able to withstand it and find Max Cooper. Here's Bracco. A couple of A-League appearances for Christian last season under Rob Stanton. Bertoncello, good turn of speed he has. And Mizunuma rode the first. Slips it for Max Burgess. Again onto the left. Burgess just pulls it wide of that near post.
Well, if Max Burgess is in that position, the one place you don't want to let him is inside on his left foot. I think it was Dobson who was in front of him on that occasion. You have to show him onto the right. Do not let him on that left foot. It is very, very dangerous. Didn't quite get a hold of it on that occasion, but give him a couple of more chances in those areas, and one of them will end up in the back of the net.
He's looking very dangerous. He looked great against Adelaide, Max Burgess. Shown the love by Mark Milligan after not getting a whole lot last year at Sydney. We touched on that. Just feels like he's a reborn player this season, Max Burgess. Just 3 A-League matches last year for Sydney. So Wilmering, it's a deep cross from the corner, and it's over the head of everyone. Well, they've ticked off 2 batches of 5 minutes, Macca. was told by a few people this week, said no, they need to take it 5 minutes at a time, Cooks Hill.
Break it down into little easily digestible pieces. Is that where we're going with, Benny?
I think so.
Well, they've started brightly. Posed a question or two at the other end as well.
Wilmering slipping it in behind for Bertoncello. Even with his speed, he was unable to catch up with it. But he looks a talent, doesn't he? Xavier Bertoncello.
He does.
20 years of age.
Bustling youngster, as we said. Started off life in the academy more as a wing-back. He's under the tutelage of Damien Zane. He's thrown in the 9 position, can play winger as well, as we've seen him against Adelaide and again tonight. He looks very dangerous with his runs in behind. Loves to cut inside on that right foot as well. Really strong looking player these days as well.
Grozos had to ride a couple of challenges. Referee is going to come back for the free kick. Matthew Staples in charge of this one. Referees the NPL New South Wales competition from Sutherland, south of Sydney. Big night for the players, also big opportunity for referees stepping up to this level as well, putting themselves on the national stage. Yaxley, flick on Shushnia in this little battle with Benson. It's going to be an intriguing one. And now Dobson. A real arm wrestle there. Battalato in there with Kai Bradley. And Kai Bradley earns the whistle.
Well, he did very well there, Kai Bradley. Used his body to protect the ball. Felt the defender and just rolled him. That was enough for the referee to blow the whistle.
You know, one thing you pick up from this Cooks Hill team early doors here, Macca. Yes, they might not be the quickest team, but gee, they win their one-on-one battles, don't they? Really strong in the 1v1s.
Yeah. No backwards steps at all.
Spurway's cross, searching for Benson. Shushnia wins the header. And you feel like that, as Wilmering can able to keep it inside the line. It's a big reason why, yes, maybe in the league they are slipping down to 9th, but in the cup, in these matches where it's all on the line, they have been so strong.
Well, it's not hard to get players up for an occasion like this. They would have been chomping at the bit the moment they saw the draw, dreaming of putting their name up in lights.
Bailey and Benson. Look at this, very strong Benson. Well, he's been told to get up here. Frustration from the Cooks Hill fans. They thought there should have been a free kick on the edge of the box. They're going to come again though, the Cookers. Spills back for Spurway. Look at the skill here. And one out did Battalato.
Well, I can tell you that part of the pitch is probably the worst as well.
It's like an ice skating rink, isn't it?
Yeah, so the fact that they're pulling out the tricks and little 1-2s, some feet.
Clements and Spurway, midfield combination. As Hilton comes off the knee, down to Shush now. Alato. Distribution there from Eisenhower. Here's Anuma. And Burgess. Just trying to break the shackles down the right. Has Luck keeping an eye on him. Burgess across the face. Dobson nodding it away. Little flick over the top. That's nice from Wilson. He is quick, Liam Wilson. He's got Benson ahead of him. He uses the run of Yaxley. Nice forward flow this from the Cookers. Yaxley's got a good left boot. He's going to use the right instead. And in the end, maybe not the correct option. So very open, the last little patch of the match.
Well, it definitely hasn't been the one side of the fair that everyone expected it to be.
Well, not yet. His bird just across the face. I was calling the Metro Stars against MacArthur on Monday night. Gee, Metro Stars held their gloves up first 20 minutes. They looked to be the better side, and then MacArthur just suffocated them out of the match.
I think we understand that time isn't going to be their friend. You'll see at any opportunity Cooks Hill will try to slow the game down, just give their players a chance to draw breath, regroup.
So we want to put history side by side. 2019, when the Jets played Edgeworth, it was 1-0 after 9 minutes. Abdiel Arroyo scored the opening goal. So they've survived a little bit longer.
You said you weren't going to mention that game again, Ben.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. It was going to come up a few times. But that match was 1-1 after 16 minutes because you scored. So 1-1 until 38th, and then the Jets put the foot down for a 5-1 victory. So ticking towards the 20-minute mark. Rosas, lovely pass, wasn't it? Saw Wilmering in space and just split the defenders. Oh, what a hit that is. Maybe a cross, maybe a shot. It doesn't matter. Wilmering celebrating like it was a cross. And the Newcastle Jets do find a goal inside the opening 20 minutes.
Well, that is the question. Ben Homer, cross or finish? I'd put my money on he was just trying to guide that to the back post area. How good replay. First touch you see here, he just has a look. I think he's just trying to guide that across the 6-yard box, and it just, the bounce of the ball doesn't collect it the way he wanted, but he'll take that every day of the week. No celebration. After we were saying Cooks Hill had done so well in the opening 18 or so minutes. It's a rather unfortunate one, but they're down.
Yeah, very much unfortunate, but you put your cross on the frame of the goal and it can happen, can't it? So Daniel Wilmering, 1 goal in the A-League men's last year, and he's got 1 in the Australia Cup round of 16. And Cooks Hill, who worked so hard to keep themselves level, find themselves behind, and that will be an offside flag. And it'll just settle a few jitters for the Jets. Not sure they were getting frustrated at all, but when you're taking on NPL opposition, pitch is not in the greatest condition. Put yourself in front after 20 minutes is always a good thing.
Well, that's always the difficult one. Just get that first one. You feel like when you're playing against NPL opposition, get that first one and heads will drop. Conversely, the longer you can go as an NPL team and frustrate the A-League team, you start to grow in confidence. A couple of inches growing on each player. It's up to Cooks Hill now to respond to that. They're doing quite well before the goal was conceded, so there's no reason why they can't continue in the same vein. I do expect them to tire as the game goes on. They have had a huge match load in the last month. I think it's been 8 games in the last month, trying to catch up in a lot of wet weather in Newcastle.
Yeah, well, this, if they are knocked out, will be their final match of the season. It could well be Chris Zoricic's final match in charge. Chance he may head elsewhere, maybe to Sydney, maybe to Melbourne. I know he's had some offers, I've been told.
Yeah. I do know he's sought after coach.
So Max Cooper. And doesn't have a willing runner for that pass. So this Cooks Hill side, formed in 1997. It was actually formed out of some members of the Newcastle Rowdies. You remember Newcastle Rowdies? They were the active support for the Newcastle Breakers and KB United. So a number of Newcastle Rowdies got together, and apparently they were formed on their Wikipedia page. It says at the Commonwealth Hotel, but I'm actually told it was at 48 Hobart Road, New Lambton in 1997 at a barbecue.
That's very precise.
I was told that by one of their life members. I said, what about the Commonwealth Hotel? He said, well, they were our first sponsor. I don't think that Wikipedia line is entirely correct, so maybe I might have to go and update it.
Well, I do remember watching the Breakers myself, watching Andy Harper play there and listening to the Rowdies sing away on the hill. Colourful group.
Yeah, well, their first year was 1998, and their teams were all age E, H, and J. So it's incredible to see where they have come from. And joined the second division in 2015, Northern League One, and then into the NPL in 2022. And the black and white actually comes from, they were going to call themselves Newcastle United, but Newcastle Football said, no, you can't call yourself Newcastle. You have to be associated with a suburb that's not Newcastle. So they went with Cooks Hill. Just one runs away from Burgess. Josh Benson making the forward run here in the centre of the box, but that cross not quite perfect from Kai Bradley. Clements, that's a good win in midfield, but Adelato is quickly back onto it. Burtoncello. And Mizunuma. Eisenhower coming to the edge of his box. Macca, do you remember a team called Newcastle and Wallsend Amateur? Nawa.
Vaguely.
Yeah, well that was where the first members of Cooks Hill, that's who they previously played for, Nawa. Now, I have no idea about Nawa, but I was told about it, and I was told to mention it because it'll give everyone a bit of a smile, reflecting back on that team.
The first thing that you haven't known facts about, Benny.
It was a bit before my time, to be fair.
That's never stopped you before.
Burgess, Captain Grozos, Burtoncello, shaped to go to the left, instead drives that pass out wide in front of Bracco. Well, that was beautiful to watch from the Jets, and it's a corner, the end result.
Well, Xavier Burtoncello, again, he's dropping into those little pockets, isn't he? Even sometimes under real heavy pressure, but his strength to hold off the defender looks to play forward and go and support. And again, it's another great ball in behind.
Geez, been so impressive to watch Burtoncello. Now Badalato. Grozos, pressure came. It was good pressure from Alex Hilton. The ball back into the box and into the arms of Eisenhower. Cooper and Shush now. So Wilmering, the goal scorer, linking with Burtoncello, who's just offside. But still, outside of that Wilmering opportunity and goal, really not much from the Newcastle Jets. Yes, they had that, have had a couple of lovely little passages of play, but Cooks Hill have been able to deal with it. Sort of feel for the Cookers that that's the way they've conceded the only goal.
They've put in a good showing so far. Haven't looked overawed. Been desperate when they needed to. As we said earlier, they've posed one or two half questions at the other end. Josh Benson has looked to make runs in behind.
Well, this would be the nervy moments for the Jets when you're trying to play out in that 18-yard box, which is basically a mud heap. Now Christian Bracco. Max Cooper, I should say Max Burgess, stretching his legs down the right. Badalata, little slip ball for Mizunuma. Oh, it's beautiful. And it just needed the finish from Burton Cello. I was waiting for the net to ripple. I could not believe it didn't.
Same. I'm just wondering if, as that ball's cut back, it doesn't just jump up at Xavier Burton Cello a little, catches him unawares, but from that area, he should be hitting the net. Let's have another look here. It's Mizunuma in behind, gets the head up. See that bobble there? I still think he should do better than he has. It was wonderfully worked from the Jets. Should be 2-0.
Yeah, it just spat up at him off a length, didn't it? Just the 4 shots on goal, though, for the Jets so far. And that probably best chance outside of the goal. And big for Burton Cello as well. Hasn't scored a senior goal, just his second match as a senior player. No doubt would love to get off the mark for his local club. Speaking of local clubs, Archie Goodwin, a product of the Cooks Hill junior system. It's a big base, Cooks Hill, and here they come again down the left. Cut back. Another huge chance for the Cookers. Shushnow and Wilmering. Yaxley desperate for it. And they have won it back again through Liam Wilson. Yaxley turned away from Badalato, able to squeeze it through. Driven across by Wilson too powerfully for Benson. But again, Cooks Hill getting themselves about.
Yeah, it was an extremely timely intervention from Max Cooper. Not sure which player it was, but there was a Cooks Hill player around the penalty spot just waiting as that ball seemed to be drawing straight to them. Max Cooper threw out the foot. I think he got the tiniest of studs on it and just deviated the ball. They're not going to lie down, Cooks Hill.
Well, the coordination behind their pressing when Newcastle are in their own defensive third has been impressive from an NPL side.
Yeah. You wouldn't begrudge them if they said, well, just sit in at all times and try and make the space small. You see it so often in football these days.
Adelato, there's no one in a red and blue shirt to nod it in at the back post. I just think he gives them belief as well. And we know, as we've touched on, he's a coach who has been highly sought after, Chris Zoricic. Even just some of the things that are written on the whiteboard at the Newcastle Athletics field, Macca. You walk in there when you go to have a running session at the athletics track. You go in there and see what Zorro's written on the board. I saw that a couple of years ago and I thought, it's impressive. It's impressive. I just think they have that added layer of belief. Really impressive to see. And I'm told he's the kit man, and he is also basically some days he's been putting up the posts at the training ground or on game days. Yeah.
That's what a lot of these players, coaches, volunteers at these clubs have to do. They don't have a staff to do things. They don't have plenty of people. It's roll the sleeves up and get it done. It's the kind of bloke that Chris Zoricic says. It's right, what do we need doing? Let's do it. Just get on with it.
Mizunuma and Bracco with the cut back to Burgess. Skip clear of the first. Takes on the next, and I tell you what, again, Cooks Hill with the answers.
Well, again, it's solid defending. We spoke earlier about not allowing Max Burgess in on his left foot. Well, the message has gone out. Every time he's picked up a ball in that position there, they've really overcompensated, shown him on the outside and said, well, if you want to go on the right foot, go outside, be my guest.
Yaxley with the flick on. And Cooper dropping it back to Delianov. So Jordan Bayliss on the bench, the backup keeper for the Jets again tonight, with Noah James out with a knee injury at the moment. If you're wondering where he might be, still a little while off. It's a bit of an unfortunate one for him. Hasn't had much luck as Noah James. Here's Anuma. Battalato, little deflection this time. Didn't quite sit for Bertoncello, so he dropped it off to Wilmering. Heavy touch from Bertoncello though. And free kick goes the way of Cooks Hill. It was a little belated, just as he looked to stretch after that heavy touch.
Well, as the ball ran across the goalmouth area, Xavier Bertoncello just waited for it to sit for him and it wouldn't. And as he came out, a heavy touch, and you see just on the follow through there, just collides, gives away the free kick.
Bailey. Hilton. The arm up from Zach Luck over there. Neatly around the corner. Kai Bailey. And driven across. Cut off by the Jets. Appeals for handball, and that one goes against the Cookers. Final 10 minutes of regulation time in this first half. Don't forget Garvey, Broski, Eric Partaloo will be with you at half-time to sum up this one and also the other two matches taking place tonight. Auckland FC taking on South Melbourne down in Victoria, and then also in Victoria, Avondale and Apia Leichhardt in the much anticipated New South Wales NPL versus Victorian NPL battle. It hasn't happened too often lately, so who will reign supreme? Victoria lead that head-to-head 7-1. NPL New South Wales versus NPL Victoria down the years, so Apia trying to get one back on the road for New South Wales. Wilson and Benson, who has dropped in. Brozos. Well, didn't quite see Liam Wilson there coming on his blind side. Referee eventually blowing the whistle. Wilson again throwing himself about. Spills for Battalato to link with Shushnia. And Shushnia sizing it up. And that one is into the crowd. And I don't mind Alec Shushnia having a strike. We've touched on that before, Macca. He does have a special one in the locker.
Well, that was only one thing on his mind there, wasn't it? You could see from about 3 steps back, he was saying, well, if they're not going to close me down, I'm going to have a go. But he was quickly on the retreat back to the halfway line.
Yaxley. Geez, he's winning those headers in the air. Whistle here for Cooks Hill. And the ball kicked away by the Jets as well.
Well, it was well spotted. There was a big handful of shirt there.
Gee, I'm liking this contest a lot, Macca. Jets with the lead, but right in the balance.
Just have a look here. I think it's Kai Bradley. Just turns. There's a big handful of shirt.
So Liam Wilson on the set piece, looking at back post. Powerful header. It was Benson who got up. Just couldn't direct it on goal. Josh Benson, who has played for the Indigenous Australian team, also the Newcastle Indigenous All-Stars, under 16 Joeys, so he's had a career growing up, now 22 years of age, and key goals in the Cup. Scored against Northern Storm from the North Coast in the round 6 match, and then again against Magic, and a double against Adelaide as Yaxley showing some speed up against Wilmer and gets the cross in. And it's slip and slide for Wilson. Gets back to his feet, pulls out the back heel. Now Bailey, this should be a free kick. No, it's not. Referee says nothing doing with the Cooks Hill press again. Trying to constrict Newcastle. They're able to play through. Max Burgess, 4 on 3 potentially if they're good enough, but the flag comes up against Mizunuma. Well, that is a blown chance for Newcastle.
Well, if you were wondering if there was more Jets fans here than Cooks Hill fans, I'm not too sure. Very vocal, getting right into it, particularly down to our right. They thought there should have been a foul. Cut to Mizunuma there. Just straying into an offside position. Mark Milligan, I can see, just furiously writing notes in his little notebook.
We just saw Chris Zoricic just barking out some instructions to his side. You have to be proud with what he's saying 40 minutes into this one. But now Bertoncello slipped in. Will it sit for him? Xavier Bertoncello, he's got it. His first senior goal for the Newcastle Jets. And doesn't he deserve that? He has been most impressive, the New Lambton Eagle, in the Australia Cup, round of 32 and round of 16. And now he doubles the Jets' lead.
Well, we spoke about him being really influential in the way the Jets have played. Hahn, how good replay. Look at that for an incisive pass. And he has all the time in the world just to let the ball run through. Pick his spot, waits for the keeper to commit, rolls it through the legs. As simple as you like. He's worked wonderfully hard tonight and deserves that goal. Clinical finish.
Well, I'm told he has an absolute cannon of a strike. That time he used the finesse to great effect. And his composure as well, because that ball was bobbling all over the place. Cooper. Pass left a little short. Benson couldn't make the most of it. Bracco. Burgess. Luck finding Benson, who's played it back into the hands of Newcastle Jets. So 3 minutes, or just about 3 minutes of regulation time in this first half. Nice turn from Badalante, just left Clements. And Bertoncello out-muscled there by Alex Hilton, who's showing a bit of skill himself, the centre-back down the right edge.
Well, Alex Hilton, sporting the bleached blonde hair, said that he'd do that if they got through the round of 32, true to his word.
If they got through the round, I thought he had the bleached blonde in the round of 32.
Through to the 32.
To the 32.
Yeah. So, well, what's next? What if you get through this one?
Well, can I just say, it is a commentator's dream, his hair. It makes him so easy to spot as this deflection favours Bertoncello well. Quite sure he was being a bit unselfish there. I wouldn't mind seeing him unload that powerful strike.
For a brief moment there, I know he was trying to look for the little through pass to Battleado, but
he thought, I've got one now.
I'm just brawling it back to the goalkeeper. Forgot what end he was at.
Well, don't forget, winner of this one plays MacArthur, will be in Newcastle. Gibson, he is offside. Neat finish from Ben Gibson, but flag is up.
Haven't seen too much of Ben tonight, have we, Ben Gibson? Just a fraction early on that one.
Big season awaits him in the A-League. 4 goals last year with that ankle injury. Speaking of dodgy pitches, there was a concert at McDonald Jones Stadium, I think, something like that. Dirt bikes maybe, who knows, but he got injured pretty much soon after that. Rob Stanton was spitting chips, I remember, and it really curtailed his season last year, Ben Gibson. So has a good season this year. I know Darren Baisley, All White's coach, has been having a little look.
Yep. Did well last year for his first run out. 4 goals, I believe it was.
Yep.
Yep.
Dobson looked a little short for that split second, but Hilton got there. And bounces down to Delianov. So how much stoppage time have we got? Beck Mackey on the board, and we've got a minute left in this first half. And Burgess has knocked off the ball by Spurway, and then Yaxley, didn't see Battleato coming from behind like a thief in the night. He nicks it back for the Jets. Rozos, Mizunuma. Well, what a magnificent night for Cup football in Newcastle. Huge crowd here at number 2 Sports Ground. Potentially a record crowd here at this venue in its history, which is pretty special. And they've been treated to a couple of goals in this first half by Newcastle. Daniel Wilmering and Xavier Bertoncello. So Matthew Staples calls the opening 45 minutes to a close here at number 2 Sports Ground in Newcastle. And Cooksville, well, they really put up a battle across those opening 45 minutes. Daniel Wilmering scoring the opening goal on 20 minutes with a cross-come shot. And then right before half-time, it was Xavier Bertoncello, the local academy product, who plays for junior club just near the McDonald Jones Stadium, the home ground of the Newcastle Jets. He made it 2-0. And half-time, it is Cooksville United 0, Newcastle Jets 2.
Newcastle Jets 2, Cooksville United FC 0. And just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that the Blue Bar is open at the southern end of the concourse tonight. When drinks are being served down there, if you want to make your way down there and get a refreshing beverage here at half-time, now is the time to do so. That's the Blue Bar down the southern end here at the concourse on the western grandstand.
What are you doing?
We're planking.
It's because of our internet providers.
We're stuck in 2011.
Same slow internet speeds.
And high prices.
It's like a nightmare.
Enough planking. Superloop is a network purpose-built for the super-fast future of the internet. You are free.
Don't take it lying down, Australia. Refresh your internet.
You are free.
Exceptional results with integrity and expertise. Their dedicated professionals specialize in sales and profit management, providing tailored solutions that maximize value for homeowners, investors, and buyers alike. With a deep understanding of the local market, cutting-edge marketing strategies, and a client-first approach, they ensure a seamless and rewarding real estate experience. With a client selling or leasing, their commitment to excellence and innovation sets them apart. And of course, they don't just sell homes. With Hahn Real Estate Newcastle. Spectators must not enter or attempt to enter the field of play or play arena without lawful authority. Any person who does not comply with spectator code of behaviour, who otherwise causes a disturbance, may be evicted from the venue or may be banned from attending future matches. With language and our appreciation to Hahn, Superloop, Network 10, Quarters, Subway, and Honda for their ongoing support of the Hahn as we celebrate our 11th edition of the Cup. And ladies and gentlemen, tonight, official attendance here at the number 2 sports ground, a new record set being made here today for the event at number 2 sports ground, 4,256. Congratulations, Cooks United FC.
over 4,200 in the house tonight. That is a new record here at number 2 Sports Ground in its history. And the Newcastle Jets getting us back underway. Leading 2-0 at half-time and looking to make it 3-0 almost immediately upon resumption. Daniel McBreen, one change at half-time for Cooks Hill. So the super sub himself, Xavier Williams, has come on for Josh Benson. He scored a goal in the round of 32, grabbed an assist as well. He is a live wire.
Well, he certainly is. And they have shown that they're not going to lie down, Cooks Hill. Chris Zoricic not waiting any more time. Half-time is enough. I'm sure his pep talk was, go and do what you did last time.
Yeah, and I've got a great little story that Chris Zoricic told me about Xavier Williams during this season. They spent some time training out at Glendale, which is a little bit further towards Lake Macquarie than where they train in the heart of Newcastle. And he lives down at Umina on the Central Coast. He would catch the train up to training. Now, Glendale's not really that close to many train stations. So Xavier apparently would catch the train up. Then he would run from Cardiff train station to Glendale, where they trained. And Chris Zoricic said, mate, why are you sweating? He said, oh, I caught the train, I ran to training.
It's dedication. That's dedication.
Yeah. If that doesn't show.
Just a good 3-4K warm-up.
Yep. Yeah, it's outstanding. And he came off the bench against Adelaide Croatia Raiders. Only lasted 21 minutes. He then got injured and went off. So let's hope he stays a little bit longer today and he gets to show us some of that talent. Cooper. And flicked on by Mizunuma. Burgess, who assisted the goal for Cello in the first half with a decisive through ball. And Luckwell, he's had his shirt pulled by Mizunuma. So Eisenhower looking for a target, instead finds Shushnia. Spurway doing enough in that little battle with Battalato. Luck. And Kai Bradley, the flag does come up against Kai Bradley. He was looking for the back heel because Xavier Williams was just sidling up alongside.
Well, it wasn't a bad run, but it was good defending from the Jets. Shushnia saw that he was making the run and just stepped up at the right time and allowed him to run into an offside position, but there was a high Jets line. That's the kind of runs that Chris Zoricic will want to see from his attackers. Try to get him behind, cause them problems, turn the Jets around.
Well, that's the thing, they grab a goal back, 2-goal lead. We know it's dangerous. Got some quality out there, Cooks Hill. This ball up and over the top. Liam Wilson's onside and Delianov. Well, it does come up eventually. The flag was late. And Delianov had a nervy moment there, you'd call it.
It wasn't convincing, was he? As we see another heavy challenge come through, but neither was the referee's assistant convincing. The flag did not go up until way after the play.
No, it was an unconvincing moment from a lot of parties.
It was a convincing run.
But it was convincing commentary from you, Macca.
Some may disagree. You can say that it was Xavier Williams who put his name up in lights last time, who was asking the questions again.
Burgess versus Spurway. Spurway closed him off. Good body position there from Liam Spurway. His mum, Di, has been at the club since its inception. She's been heavily involved today. Grozos. And Bracco, delivery straight into the arms of Eisenhower. He's looking for the quick release of Yaxley, potentially Bradley. But trying to win a one-on-one duel with Alex Shushnia is a very challenging task. Newcastle dominating possession as you would expect, but as the boys said at half-time, it's by no means a utterly dominant performance from Newcastle in terms of chances and possession, like we have seen in the past. There's Wilmering, his ball to Burgess, who will bring a Newcastle Jets corner. Look at Burgess. I've never seen someone sprint so hard to take a corner. Gee, that's impressive from Burgess. Now he cuts it across the face and Cooks Hill deal with it. Burgess was offside, so he leaves it for Wilmering. Mizunuma measured it back across the face. And Clements. Bradley has Williams down the left. He just strayed offside, Xavier Williams. And Bradley might not have seen him. Wilson and Bailey. Now the Jets quickly going the other way. Caught to Mizunuma. Gee, it took a bobble. And Mizunuma, technically excellent. That is a finish and a half from Kota Mizunuma. That's why he has played for the Japanese national team. Despite the mud down that end of the pitch, he was able to control his feet, control the ball, and drill it into the bottom corner for a 3-0 lead for the Jets.
Newcastle Jets 3, Cooks Hill United 0.
Well, how good indeed. Kota Mizunuma. When the pass came through, you thought it was just going to roll onto his right foot. You see there, it takes a wicked bounce and slows right up, but he has the presence of mind to bring it back on the left. Defenders unable to change direction quickly in the mud at that end. And it's a clinical finish from Kota Mizunuma.
And you look at all 3 goals from the Jets. First goal, a stroke of luck. But the last 2 goals in this game have been quality from Newcastle. And that's what it's taken to break down Cooks Hill.
2 defence splitting passes that have really opened them up.
There's Cooper. Got a little nudge there. Spurway. Spurway blocked off there by Cooper. Another chance falling the way of Cooks Hill. Spurway finds himself in a pocket of space, links with the man with the magic touch, and Xavier Williams shows everyone what the fuss is all about. He very nearly got Cooks Hill on the board.
Well, talk about incisive passing. Liam Spurway there, wonderful ball, and that looked like it was going in the far corner, and Delianoff at full stretch being asked questions.
Give us a bit more. Xavier Williams. 19 years of age. Goal scorer to get Cooks Hill to the round of 32 against Magic, and then again in the round of 32. And this corner towards Luck. Nods it back across the face. They're throwing themselves about. And Delianov, well, again a little unsure of himself.
He hasn't looked too comfortable with the simpler of catches. Great save moments ago. He just looked a little sloppy in the handling.
Surely you feel like there has to be a goal for Cooks Hill. They deserve one. They've asked enough questions to deserve one. Bracco in that foot race with Williams, and Williams, well, he's done really well there to earn a goal kick out of that.
Well, not shirking the defensive duties when needed as well.
Well, ears from you minor, Central Coast Mariners fans.
I just wonder how much Chris Zoricic has spoke to Damien Zane, the youth team coach, and said, maybe you need to have a look at this kid.
Yeah, Zoricic working with Damien Zane with the Newcastle Jets Academy. Gibson slipped in and links up with Battolato and back into the path of Gibson, off the post and in. The flag's up though. And Gibson, as he copped a stud here on his way through, he doesn't need this. I mentioned it when it was an ankle injury at the back end of last season. And on a cold night, that doesn't tickle.
And while he's down on the ground, referee and assistant.
Well, hang on, it is a goal, is it?
It's a goal, yep.
So Ben Gibson is in immense pain in the 6-yard box. He might be feeling a little bit better about things. And it is confirmed to be 4-0 now to the Newcastle Jets. What's happening here? The referee just maybe giving a little verbal warning here to Dan Eisenhower, the Cooks Hill keeper. Have a look at the contact after the goal was scored. I didn't see a yellow card brandished.
But it was neat play in the initial stages down this right-hand side. And you see there, a little bit fortuitous here as the ball comes back to him, Gibson.
No, it wasn't Eisenhower.
I'm just wondering if it was Hilton as he lunges in here.
Yeah, that is it.
It's a neat first touch and a clinical finish to make it 4-0, but at what cost? He's now limping behind the goal.
So no risk taken. Gibson gone, and Rose is about to come into the game. Actually scored a double here, Lockie Rose, for MacArthur against Newcastle Olympic back in 2021. And Will Dobson also getting himself ready to come on. So Rose will come on for Gibson. There's no doubt about that. Dobson looks as though maybe Grozos. Grozos is sort of making hand gestures to the bench. It's either he and no, it is Bertoncello. So Dobson on for Xavier Bertoncello. Goal scorer at the back end of the first half. And he gets a well-deserved early mark in this one.
Well, now the challenge for Cooks Hill is, can they score a goal against A-League opposition?
Can Lockie Rose get himself about here? He's going to have fresh legs, really testing out a tiring back line of Cooks Hill. Dobson, and the ball across the face. A little too heavy for Rose to catch up with. Oh, they don't want to let the bottom fall out of this Cooks Hill. 4-0, half an hour to go. Could easily do so here. They don't deserve it because they've been impressive for the most part. Bailey and Wilmering. Yaxley again. Gee, Dan Yaxley, 31 years of age. Dan Clements, 36 years of age, going up against this A-League side. Barely put a foot wrong as this flag goes against Xavier Williams. So the winner of this one to take on MacArthur FC, Newcastle Jets. About half an hour away from confirming a spot in the last 8 for just the second time in club history. Mizunuma, little 1-2 play with Burgess as well as Dobson. Good opportunity for Will Dobson tonight as well to get off the mark with the Newcastle Jets. I was going to say as well, Macca, as we see another change for Cooks Hill. So Liam Wilson being withdrawn and Zach Waddell, former Mariner, Valentine and Northern Tigers player, Sydney. He's going to come on. Just going to say, the Jets, they are the only A-League team to have played every edition of the Australia Cup who have never made it past the quarterfinals. So that's the kind of history that they're chasing. The only other teams, Auckland FC, and unfortunately I have to mention it, Western United. We'll wait and see what happens there over the coming days. But yeah, Auckland FC, of course, is their first edition of the Cup.
Well, I was going to say, you're being very harsh on Auckland FC.
Well, it probably tells the story of the Newcastle Jets, doesn't it?
Yeah, well...
Auckland are in their first edition of the club. They're almost into the quarterfinals,
well,
potentially semis.
Let's be honest, it's been a pretty poor showing from Newcastle in this competition.
But one stat they don't have going against the Macca is they've never had an NPL side beat them. So that's one thing they can hang their hat on at this stage.
So you're saying the luck of the draw hasn't been very lucky for them?
Usually drawn against A-League opposition down the years. As that's well done by Waddell. Cross into the box. And the volley from Bradley. Pinball. And Dobson gets it away.
Well, it's a great opportunity, isn't it? I think we can say they're going to go through comfortably through this round. MacArthur in the next round, that's a difficult one. If they get through then, and it's a semi-final against NPL opposition, they're not going to have really a better chance, are they?
No, 100%. Just doing a bit of maths in my head, Macca.
I wondered why he'd gone quiet.
And I'm just thinking, just trying to process all these matches, is Bracco cuts it across the face, could be 5. Eisenhower, good save going to his right. I believe Newcastle Jets are the only A-League club, along with Auckland, who have never lost to an NPL side. Every other team in the A-League has lost to an NPL side. Western have, Melbourne City, Melbourne Victory, Adelaide, Perth, Mariners, Wilmering, and Rose. Lots of time, and on the volley it's blocked. Dobson. And now Lockie Rose freeing up the left. Oh, that cannons into the head of Mitch Dobson. And it will be a corner kick. Are you going with me on that one?
Oh, I'm still trying to work it out. I was just wondering where the Cooks Hill defence just had gone when that ball came century to Lockie Rose, standing all on his own. And quickly recovered.
Well, there's some Newcastle Jets fans in the house. Bit of a Newcastle chant going as Max Bird just can't crane the header around. So Waddell, he's been busy. Assistant referee ruins the fun. Come on, assistant, it's 4-0.
We were almost in line with that.
And what did you think?
And the crowd just to our left as well. We all thought he was in onside position. It was a decent ball and a great run in my mind.
He's done well, Zach Waddell, since coming on. Getting himself about down the left. Good avenue. And that's shifted Xavier Williams into the middle. So Waddell has come onto that left flank. He's charging after this one. He scored the 1 goal in the NPL, Northern New South Wales. A bit of banter here at number 2 Sports Ground. If you missed it before, this is the ground record for this venue since its redevelopment. The crowd here tonight, over 4,000 in the house, beating the 3,800 the A-League Women's in 2023 between Newcastle and Sydney. There it is, 4,256 in the house. That's pretty similar to the Jets-Edgeworth clash back in 2019. So Waddell versus Cooper again. Cooper this time winning the foot race. Delianov, comfortable that time. Ooh, little problem here for the Jets. Bracco did well to hold firm amid the pressure of Kai Bradley. Numa. 1-2 with Burgess. Does he go after a double quarter? Drops it off to Dobson. And Burgess almost trying to pass it into the net, Newcastle. Not trying to shoot from even the edge of the 18-yard box. They really want to test out their ball work in tight areas. And for the most part, it's been impressive when they've got it going.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see that develop over the course of the year. Burgess, Zanuma in particular, two wonderful ball players. And you throw in Lockie Rose, who makes the forward runs off those two. It's got the makings of a good attacking combination.
Very willing. Rozos goes down a bit of a screaming heap. He's back to his feet now. Bradley, can he shift it quickly? Well, just delayed at a moment, and Waddell and Williams have just dropped back a touch.
Yeah, just not in sync there. Waddell dropping to get the ball to feet. Ball went in behind. And as predicted, it's getting a little bit more difficult as the game draws on. Newcastle really have taken control of the match. Comfortable leaders now and just knocking the ball around, making Cooks Hill chase, which obviously makes it very difficult.
Rose peels wide. Dobson clearing to the sideline.
Well, they are still defending desperately in their own box, Cooks Hill.
So another couple of changes coming for Newcastle. So it looks as though it's Alex Battalato who is going to be replaced here by Oscar Fryer. So this is a great moment for Oscar, who missed the entirety of last year with an ACL injury. And he's going to make his first appearance for Newcastle. And it looks as though Alex Nunez, the other player to come on for the Newcastle Jets. So Battalato off. So to Max Burgess. So Nunez, who did play in the round of 32, made his senior debut in the Australia Cup playoff last year against Western United for Newcastle. That was Williams. And is bumped to the ground by Shushnia. Oh, hang on a second. Well, Alex Shushnia, what is he doing there? What is doing there? And what will this be?
Well, it's a definite brain snap there. There was no need for that.
I think the referee's gone to get a yellow card. He's probably lucky it's not anything more. And now he's trying to protect a teammate, but you're up 4-0, 21 to go.
Well, I'd like to see the replay. The referee's got the yellow card out. Jai Bailey looked like he was coming in and then looked to stop. And stopped just in front, or maybe there was contact, but it seemed relatively innocuous. It is a bit of a wrestle on the ball here. And it's the next part that we're, Jai Bailey just drops the hip in a little bit, but there's not too much in it. That's normal football contact, and Xander Sushnja just had a bit of a brain fade there. So it's Hilton as well with a yellow card now, who came and got himself involved when he didn't need to. And a game that was played in the right spirits, in really good spirits, was just turned a little sour.
Well, Shush now still having the conversation with Kai Bailey. I should say with Jai Bailey over on that far side. So we'll keep a little eye on that as things wear on. So a good opportunity this for young Oscar Fryer, who was signed from the Sydney FC youth team last year.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's official attendance.
Rose. And now Fryer giving a little clip from Clemens. So all of a sudden, a little bit of spice coming into this game, Macca, out of nowhere.
As I said, it was played in great spirits up until about 2 minutes ago. And all of a sudden, there's a little bit of niggle.
Is Rose going in? How much contact was there?
Well, he slipped, didn't he? But he also kept his studs down.
Yeah, I thought he kept his studs down pretty well
and kept connected with the ball. Maybe one of those innocuous ones that doesn't look too bad, but hurts a bit.
So Dan Clements, the 36-year-old, he is about to be replaced by Declan Hughes and Joel Clissold, the Kiwi, who actually was coached by Chris Zoricic over in New Zealand. So Kai Bradley leaving the park as well. Clissold and Hughes. Hughes, who previously played with Newcastle Olympic, 21-year-old, and Clissold, who was playing with Eastern Suburbs in New Zealand, made the move to Maitland and now has kept a similar colour theme at Cooks Hill. Maitland black and white as well. Now, Nunes, overlap from Wilmering. How's the delivery? Well, doesn't need it initially, and it is just going to be the goal kick. So this section of the draw, Jets play MacArthur. Then the winner of that match will be Brisbane City taking on, at the moment, Avondale. So the winner of the Jets and MacArthur would play NPL opposition in the semi-final. The other side is Wellington against Heidelberg. Gee, that is an interesting match. Wellington v Heidelberg, who beat Western Sydney 3-0. Biggest win for an NPL side against A-League opposition last night. And then at the moment, Sydney versus Auckland. There's a tasty one. How about that, Stevie Corica up against his old side. Of course, he won the Australia Cup with Sydney in 2023. And he, no doubt, wants to get some kind of a vengeance of that disappointing end of the A-League season. They went out to Melbourne victory. As here come Cooks Hill, slip for Xavier Williams. Yaxley. Now, hand up over on this near side from Christian Bracco. Instead they go the other side for Wilmering. Fryer. Pops it down for Mizunuma. Returns it to Oscar Fryer. Cutting it across the face of goal and prevented from being an own goal by Zach Luck. Inside the final 15 minutes, Newcastle with a corner. Japanese international on delivery duty, and we've seen how dangerous this can be. And the flick from Rose, gee, it was inventive, it was acrobatic, and very nearly provided Shushnia with a chance for an unmarked header at the back post. And Lockie Bayliss is about to make his entry for the man who just took that corner. Konta Mizunuma replaced. Bayliss on. So the only outfield player who will not get an opportunity tonight for the Jets, Mark Natta. Cooksill have still got the one change left up their sleeve. Williams versus Shushnia here. Whoa! There was a battle. Delianov, as he clattered into Williams, well, it was heavy contact. Williams, who was injured in the round of 32 match. And it was a similar kind of collision. He's gone down clutching the leg.
Well, there was no quarter given there. Delianov made the decision finally to come. Neither were going to pull out, and that's heavy contact.
You just hope that Williams and Delianov are both all right. We want to see Xavier Williams play out the remaining minutes of this one, because he's been entertaining to watch. Slowly getting towards his feet now. James Delianov, he's had an interesting evening, hasn't he, Jets goalkeeper?
Yeah.
And maybe that's an area in Newcastle. I wonder whether they are going to look to sign another experienced goalkeeper, because Noah James is out injured with that knee problem at the moment. Not quite sure when he will be back, and they've got Jordan Bayliss, the youth team keeper, on the bench tonight. So do they want more competition in that area, or are they happy with that?
Well, as long as Noah James comes through his injury as expected, I believe it could be another 6 weeks or so.
Okay.
You would think that they'd be the two vying for the position, Delianov and James, once the season comes around. I think sometimes you have to put faith in your youth team as well, which we've seen with Mark Milligan since he's come in. Plenty of youngsters out there, local products as well. And that's what Novocastrians want to see. What's the point of having these academies and the youngsters coming through if you're not going to use them?
Oh, I think that's the question on everyone's lips, is why it's taken so long. Mark Milligan's walked in and said, "You're getting to go, you're getting to go, you're getting to go."
Mm-hmm.
The first time of asking it. Yeah, it's refreshing. And you can just see local products all the way across the field for the Jets. You know, you've got Max Cooper out there, Christian Bracco, Alex Nunes has come through the academy, Will Dobson,
Xavier Bertoncello on the scoreboard tonight.
Yep, and Bayliss as well. Spent time in the Jets system. So, what's doing here? Oh, Xavier Williams. He's had a seat, so I think his night is done, which is quite sad that it's going to end this way. I just wonder what all the discussion is about here, Macca. Do you know what it's all about?
I don't know. No.
They're just trying to ready a substitute.
Well, look, that's what the discussions were about.
You can see Craig Deans there, sitting on the Cooks Hill bench, technical director for them. Former Newcastle Jets head coach in the men's and women's space. And Alex Gillespie comes on. Final substitute made for Cooks Hill, another one of their originals who came over in 2017 when they came up to the second division. And he's playing up top, and he's usually a centre back. And I think he just said that to Alex Schuschnigg. He said, mate, I'm usually the other end of the pitch.
Said,
so
watch out.
just take it easy on me, would you? Gillespie, 34 years of age. And he can score a goal from a corner. He's got a couple this season for the Cookers. And that's not what Oscar Fryer would have wanted. So, is there a fire in the hole for Cooks Hill in the final 10 minutes? They've got some explosives to set about without Xavier Williams out there. Maybe Alex Gillespie get himself about to get them on the board.
Oh, maybe the big man will throw himself about and flick one on or something. But
here he is, getting a touch. Fryer, early delivery, picked out by Dobson. He's tidy. Mitch Dobson again, seeing that on show tonight. Waddell. Big two initially. Third was a little too much to handle. Spurway coming through. Gillespie. Oh, very nearly did get himself on the score sheet. That was a little bit scratchy from Newcastle. But again, the press on show from Cooks Hill. This is Declan Hughes. It's one thing that has caught the eye, just the synchronicity of their press. And maybe tonight is the farewell for Chris Zoricic as Cooks Hill coach. You probably think so. What a parting gift he's left them with. As Waddell. Waddell! And Schuschnigg, handball is the call from the Cooks Hill fans. They want a penalty. The man who converted the penalty in round of 32, Josh Benson, no longer on the field. Newcastle Jets want to keep a clean sheet on their route to the quarterfinals. Well, who's impressed you most tonight, Macca, from the Jets' perspective and also Cooks Hill?
Well, I think Xavier Bertoncello was the real standout for us early on. Got himself on the score sheet. He looked busy. He was lively. I thought, particularly in the first half, just let this play out here.
Fryer across the face. Rose was getting ready for the header. Wilmering looking for a double. Not often he gets a double. Dan Wilmering, there he has got a double. And what a spectacular strike. Come on, Dan, you've got to celebrate a bit more. That is a spectacular goal. And he pulls out the same celebration. Very low key.
Very low key. As you said, he doesn't get many. It was a save of the moment. And it was a wonderful finish as well.
Newcastle Jets 5, Cooks Hill United FC 0.
Really composed finish, wasn't it?
Well, it was good build-up down this right-hand side. A little bit of an error there, but then as the ball was won, Fryer with a great ball in, and he thought, well, maybe the danger was cleared, but he brings it on the right foot. And that's a quality finish. Howard just stood and watched. It's 5-0 to the Jets, and it's been a pretty easy second half for the Jets in all fairness. It's not through the lack of trying from Cooks Hill, but just been worn down.
I know you're up 5-0 now in that situation, Macca, but you hit a strike like that. You're given a little bit of a celebration.
Well,
there was nothing.
I remember at the season launch last year, I was happy enough to be there, and Daniel Wilmering said to me, "Come on, Macca, you've got to give me a pump up." I said, "Well, come on, give me something to pump it up." And he's given me a couple of goals tonight. I want to see the celebrations that go with it, though.
Yeah, I want him to pump himself
Come
up.
on, exactly.
Come on, Dan. Yeah, and you look at that match against Adelaide, he had that really tough moment to start. Ever since that, he's been most impressive.
Yeah.
His response from that moment, where he had a big part to play in the match winner against Adelaide, and then tonight, really putting a nail in that left back spot for Newcastle. There's now a cross. Up they go! Oh, clear save. One of the most unlikely of goal scorers. As he scored in the NPL, he scored one in the NPL this season. He's not a noted goal scorer. Well, very nearly.
Well, what about the work down the right from Yaxley? And you asked me who were the standouts, and I had to hold. He was one. I was going to say, particularly in the first half, he worked tirelessly down that right-hand side, and he was there again to provide a great opportunity. Looks like that offside.
Yaxley has been enormous.
Yes, he has.
He has been absolutely enormous. I mentioned before, he played with Adamstown. He's also played for Toronto. He spent a little bit of time in Italy as well. And I'm told he's fluent in Italian, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. So if you need a translator, he could be your man. Yeah, he has been just so reliable for Cooks Hill. So he and Alex Gillespie out there, who joined in 2017 to help Cooks Hill with their promotion push. Nick Russell, another one. He was at South Cardiff before then. He's now coaching with the Cookers. Spurway and Yaxley searching for Clissold. So final few minutes of regulation time, sitting at a 5-0 scoreline, which shows the class of the Jets, but also Cooks Hill haven't given it to them on a silver plate. As Fryer pushes that wide of goal. So what do we got at the other grounds here tonight? Oh, well, Victoria. Victoria's domination over New South Wales looks set to continue. Avondale leading RPA Leichhardt 3-1. So that is looking like an Avondale-Brisbane City clash in the quarterfinals of the Australia Cup. And they will host that too. As Alex Gillespie. Oh, he let it run.
Oh, there's a centre-back's instincts for you. Any striker is just bullying anyone out the way there to just swing the leg at it, and he just stopped.
Here we go. Bit of a long throw, is there? Get the long throw going. Maybe not quite. It's a bit of a meek throw in the end, straight to the head of Grozos. Dobson looks up, plays it into the feet of Luck. A little bit of footwork on Bracco. Zake Luck drives it across the face. Gillespie had overrun it. And Mitch Dobson. Clissold. Neat ball movement again. This from the Cookers. Slipped through towards Waddell. Lockie Rose getting back to do the defensive work, as he so often does. Gets himself everywhere, Lockie Rose. Wilmering, header away out to Spurway.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will be no less than 3 added minutes of additional time.
So 3 additional minutes at number 2 Sports Ground in front of this record crowd for the venue. More than 4,250 in the house here to watch the Newcastle derby. It was Newcastle Jets 5-1 in 2019 against Edgeworth, and 5-0 6 years later against Cooks Hill. Bayless, well, just beat a very tired Liam Spurway. Fryer, can he get one for his first match in Jets colours? Trying to manoeuvre his way through. Dobson. And Grozos. Wilmering. Be beyond for a hat-trick maybe, Dan Wilmering.
Surely he'd celebrate a hat-trick.
Nunes. Silky. Dobson. And Bracco. And it beats everyone across the face, including Lockie Rose, who's saying the keeper got a touch.
I think I agree with Lockie.
I do. I think he's a pretty honest bloke as well, Lockie Rose. He wouldn't be a fibber.
Well, this angle will give us a great view. There's definitely a touch there, isn't there?
Has to be. Snicko would show a touch.
A very innocent looking Eisenhower as he stood up. Nothing to see here, ref.
So, Garvey, Broski, Eric Partaloo will be with you very, very shortly to sum up a big night of round of 16 action in the Australia Cup, the final match day in the round of 16 in 2025. And then we are on to the quarterfinals. The last 8, all but sealed. So the Newcastle Jets, for just the second time in club history, are going through to the last 8 of the Australia Cup. Cooks Hill United, they put up a fight, but in the end it was too much class from the A-League side. Full time in front of a record crowd at number 2 Sports Ground. And it finishes Cooks Hill United 0, Newcastle Jets 5.
Please take care from entering the venue here at Newcastle number 2 Sports Ground. And remember, stadium staff are there to help you should you require any assistance. On behalf of the Executive Committee of the Cooks United Football Club, we'd like to thank you for your attendance here this evening. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening.